Manchester United has not replaced Casemiro. That's one of our problems this transfer window. We signed Tielemans and Andrey Santos, two players that from their profile and what they did prior seasons, it shows that they are more of a central midfielder than a defensive midfielder. And people have been saying that who is now going to replace Casemiro next season for us in a situation where we don't sign a defensive midfielder, who is going to replace Casemiro for us? And a lot of people are touting Kobbie Mainoo as a possible replacement, or Andrey Santos as a possible replacement. So now let's look at Kobbie Mainoo and Andrey Santos, who can do more of the job of a DM. You get the job of a DM between these two players. Who do we think is able to do it? Kobbie Mainoo has played with Casemiro in a double pivot, but he wasn't playing as the defensive identity in that double pivot. It was mostly Casemiro that was a defensive identity, even though Casemiro was the one still moving forward and trying to be the progressor between the two of them. What Kobbie Mainoo was mostly doing was the deep line playmaking, and he didn't do it that much. What he was doing was to collect the ball from the defense and try and ease through the first phase of press and pass it to either Casemiro or directly to Bruno Fernandes. So let's quickly look at Kobbie Mainoo in comparison with Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo in comparison with Andrey Santos for last season. And this is going to be statistics per 90 minutes. So now this is for last season. Kobbie Mainoo against Casemiro for last season. Casemiro definitely had more games. He had more stats. Kobbie Mainoo eventually started playing from where Michael Carrick came in. So Kobbie Mainoo has 16 stats. Casemiro had 33 stats. Then for the goals, let's talk about the defensive aspect and where I feel Kobbie Mainoo's weakness, the major weakness of Kobbie Mainoo that might not make me feel he can play at that DM position, and that is what? The long pass. This is my problem with Kobbie Mainoo playing as a DM, but I'll come back to that. Now let's look at it. For the long pass, Kobbie Mainoo attempted 22. He attempted 2.2. This is per 90 minutes. It's not the total number. This is per 90 minutes. That's what the figures that they had compared to the number of games that they played. So he attempted 2.2 long passes. He completed 1.2. Then his long passing accuracy was 56.41%. Then for Casemiro, he attempted 5.6. That's over times 2 of what Kobbie attempted. He completed 3. That's almost times 3 of what Kobbie completed. Then his accuracy was 54.09. That's just about 2% less than Kobbie Mainoo. So with that volume and him having this long pass accuracy, that means Casemiro did a lot of long balls last season compared to what Kobbie Mainoo did. Now, as you can say, don't say that because Casemiro played more. That is why. No, this is based on the time that they played, what they did based on the time that they played. This is per 90. Now let's move ahead. We have duels contested. Casemiro had Mainoo had 10.1. Then Casemiro had 12.3. Duels contested. Tackles made. Mainoo had 2. Casemiro had 3.1. Fouls from tackles. Casemiro had more fouls from tackles. He had 1.3 and Mainoo had 0.4. So Mainoo had more safe tackles compared to Casemiro. Then fouls won. Mainoo won more fouls. Or Casemiro won more fouls rather. 1.3 against Mainoo's 1.2, but the gap wasn't too much. Then fouls. Casemiro had more fouls, 1.6 compared to Mainoo's 0.8. That's almost times 2. Then era duels contested. Mainoo had 2.2. Then Casemiro had 3.9. Era duels won. Mainoo had 0.9. Then Casemiro had era duels won. Casemiro had 2. Then era duels success. Mainoo has 38.46. Casemiro has 50.91. We all know that Casemiro's strength is aerial ball winning abilities. Then for ground duels contested, Mainoo had 8. Casemiro had 8.5. So Mainoo, at least he did well in the number of ground duels that he contested. Ground duels won. Mainoo had 4.2. Casemiro had 4.6. So close quarter. Duels won. Mainoo had 5.1. Casemiro had 6.5. Then ground duels success. Mainoo had 52.74. Then Casemiro had 53.5. So still close. Clearance. Mainoo had 1.4. Clearance per 90 minutes. Casemiro had 2.6 per 90 minutes. Interceptions, they both had the same number of interceptions, 1.1, 1.1. Then ball recoveries, Mainoo had 5.2. Casemiro had 4.8. Ball recoveries is your tackles, your pressure, what leads to your opponent losing possession and turning over possession to your team. That is ball recovery. So Mainoo did better in terms of ball recoveries than Casemiro. Then possession lost, Mainoo lost possession 10.9. Casemiro 12.8. So Casemiro lost possession more than Mainoo. Then times tackled, Mainoo had 2.6. Casemiro had 0.8. That means Mainoo held the ball too much. That was why he was tackled more than Casemiro. Casemiro rarely held onto the ball, mostly passing. Mainoo's strength is holding the ball and trying to beat the press. That's Mainoo's strength. So he got tackled more, 2.6, and Casemiro's got tackled more, 0.8. So from what we've seen now, we discovered that Casemiro was better in the defensive setup than Kobbie Mainoo. Defensive setup, Casemiro was better than Kobbie Mainoo, and a lot of people will be like, it is normal because Casemiro is a veteran, a defensive midfielder, unlike Kobbie Mainoo. So now let's check for Kobbie Mainoo and Andrey Santos last season. So Kobbie Mainoo, Andrey Santos. Kobbie Mainoo played 28 games, started 16. Andrey Santos played 27, started 13. Now, from their pass attempted, Andrey Santos attempted more passes, and he had more pass accuracy, 90%. Kobbie Mainoo had 89.1. So that's close range also. Then for the long passes, Kobbie Mainoo did better than Andrey Santos in the long pass. That means Kobbie Mainoo is better than Andrey Santos in long passing, in passing range. Long passing range. He attempted 2.2, completed 1.2 with a passing accuracy of 56.41. While Andrey Santos attempted 2.1, he completed 1.1. Then he had a 50% long pass completion rate. So the distance wasn't too much, 2.2 to 2.1, then 1.2 to 1.1. So it is similar. So they are similar. Now I will come back to why I'm using this long pass. I'll come back to why I'm doing this and why I'm bringing this this thing. I'll bring the chart board so that we'll talk on the tactics and why I said that Kobbie Mainoo will not be the best person to play that DM position to replace Casemiro. Now let's move ahead. We have duels contested. Kobbie Mainoo had 10.1. Then Andrey Santos had 8.7. Tackles made, Kobbie Mainoo had 2, Andrey Santos had 2.7. That means Andrey Santos made more tackles in the time that he played. Then fouls from tackles attempted, Santos made more fouls. He made more fouls, 0.6 to Kobbie's 0.4. Still very little margins. Then fouls, 0.8 to Andrey Santos 1. Still little margins. Then area duel contested, Santos was better than Kobbie Mainoo here. Kobbie Mainoo 2.2, Santos 2.3. Duels 1, Kobbie Mainoo 0.9, Santos 1.1. Then duel success, Kobbie Mainoo 38.46, then Santos 45.16. So for the area duels, he did better than Kobbie Mainoo in that aspect. Then for ground duels contested, Kobbie Mainoo contested more ground duels, but he did not win more. He contested more, but didn't win more. Santos contested less, but won more. Then for the ground duel success, Santos was better because he had a success of 67.78%, and Kobbie Mainoo had a success of 52.74. And if we compare to Casemiro had a success of 53.5, and Santos here has a success of 67.78. So that means he's very, very good in terms of ground duels. Then clearance, Kobbie had 1.4, then he had 1.3. So very, very close range. Interceptions, 1.5 for Santos, then 1.1 for Kobbie. Then ball recoveries, Kobbie 5.2, Santos 3.5. So that means Kobbie knows how to read space and read danger. That's why he has more ball recoveries, interceptions, ball recoveries, and what have you. Interceptions, he was better, but in terms of like reading where the ball is going to go so that he can go there and go and make a tackle and what have you, I think Kobbie edges Santos in that area. Then possession lost, Kobbie lost possession more than Andrey Santos. Then times tackled, Kobbie got tackled more than Andrey Santos got tackled because he holds the ball too much. So we've seen from this now, we've seen that in terms of the defensive responsibilities, Santos still holds better defensive responsibilities than Kobbie in terms of the games that they played last season per 90 minutes. So Santos is still a little bit better than Kobbie in terms of the defensive output. You get it? So I think Santos is even more inclined towards that DM role than Kobbie Mainoo. But there's still a problem between why I would still not want Santos to be the DM for us. If we are now going to choose between Santos and Mainoo, I'm going to lean more on Santos to be the DM. But I still have my reservations on why I would not want Santos to be my DM. So let's move on. So I quickly said, let me compare Santos to Youri Tielemans, our new two signings. And from what we have, Tielemans far better in the long passing range, attempted more, completed more, had more accuracy, duels contested, tackles made. He is better. That's why I said that. In terms of what is it now? In terms of talent and ability, I really like the Tielemans signings. But the only thing that I was questioning was the age. That was my only worry about Tielemans. The age. That's the only thing. The age and his last season injury record. So hopefully that is a one-off season for injuries for him. And if that's the case, then he's going to be a good player for us because Tielemans is a workaholic. He works in that midfield. So he's going to be the best person for that central midfield role for us. Duels contested, tackles made, very, very good. Then he commits more foul. Aerially, he's not too dominant, he's not too strong, but I think he still has good area duel success. Then ground duels contested, he's still better than Santos. You can see it. So he offers defensive and offensive abilities. That's for Tielemans. So this is one thing that I liked about him very much last season. So if a season that was even that he had injuries, if he can still bring this type of statistic, then if we now go back to the previous seasons where he was fit and played the entirety of the season, then you discover that you are going to have a lot of defensive metrics that you are going to be moving on with. So I think Tielemans is going to bring something like this to us, energy in that midfield and what have you. So the best thing I'm looking for now is somebody to partner Tielemans in that midfield for that double pivot, who is going to be the defensive midfielder. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm saying, that it is between Santos and Mainoo. That's the person that is going to. That's if we don't sign. This is all if we don't sign a defensive midfielder. Now let's move on. Now let's look at this chart between Santos and Tielemans and where they can complement each other. Now for last season, this is Santos per 90 minutes. This is per 90 minutes. What he did compared to the playing time that he got. This is the chart. Now we have duels. We have possession one, progressive carries, forward passes percentage, key passes, progressive passes, and minutes. Now, as a midfielder, how you move the ball from your defensive half to the offensive half is based on two things. It's based on progressive carries and progressive pass. Now, if you see midfielders that like the Pedri, they like to carry the ball and drive within space. They move. That's what we call progressive carries. They move with the ball. Then when you now want to talk about progressive pass, those are the ones that can stay back. The Toni Kroos, they can stay back and just break the line with long pass. That is why I was talking about the long passing accuracy for Kobbie Mainoo and Andrey Santos. Now, that is why we now have progressive carries. Now, that's why I brought out this chart. Now, from the chart, it shows that for duels, Santos is good. Possession one, he's good. Progressive carries, he's poor. Look at it, he's poor. That is why he's around the 20th percentile. He's poor in progressive carries. For forward passes, he's good because forward passes is just you passing the ball to either your central midfielder or your winger or your attacking midfielder. So any pass that goes forward, even though it doesn't beat a person, so long as the ball moves forward, it's called a forward pass. Then forward pass percentage is the same. It's just the same thing. It's just like the percentage is the number of passes that you completed among the forward pass. That's what you have here. So he's good in forward passes and he has a very, very high completion rate for forward pass. That is why his passing accuracy was 90%, if you remember from the chart. Now, key passes is very, very low. That means he doesn't offer anything offensively. That's for Andrey Santos. He doesn't offer anything offensively. Progressive passes, he's kind of mid, average, 63.2. That means he often tries to give that long passes, but he doesn't do well. He doesn't do well with the long passes, but he tries to give, but he doesn't do well. So he's average. Then for the duels and possession, when I talked about it, this is why I said that I feel he can be our defensive midfielder. But now my problem with him is now going to be this and this. Now, he's now going to be relying on Tielemans to do the ball progression. So when he receives the ball from the defense, he's now going to be doing more of the passing to Tielemans to progress the ball, either by carrying the ball and driving or by passing the ball, maybe with long pass. Now, if you watch them, Elliot Anderson, they are good with the two. Matthews Fernandes good with the two. That was why we were looking for those players. That was why and all the analysis was saying get these players because they're very, very good. And when you have a defensive midfielder that is very, very good in progressing the ball, you free up your central midfielder and you can now create an offensive overload in the offensive half. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to do that. So this is my only problem about Andrey Santos playing as a DM for us. We are now going to be overworking Tielemans to come back. And Kobbie Mainoo has the same problem too. But the only difference between him and Kobbie Mainoo is that he offers more defensively than Kobbie Mainoo. So at least we know that we can have a defensive cover, but a poor ball progressor. Because often he's going to give the ball to Tielemans to progress. So you see the problem. So that's why I've been saying that I don't like the idea of either Santos or Kobbie Mainoo playing as our defensive midfielder. But because even though we are playing a double pivot, we still have an 8. One of the pivots is a box to box. The other pivot is the one that's going to be more of the DM. That's going to be more tasked with the job of that DM, screening the defense and protecting the defense. So we need somebody that is defensively solid in that part and can also build the ball, because that is where modern football is moving towards. Now, if we now add Bruno Fernandes to the mix, now I decided to add Bruno Fernandes. Let's see what these three of them can give to us. Now, defensively, you discover that Santos is still the best, but Tielemans is still there to do a little bit of defensive job, which he likes to do. So Tielemans will still give you a little bit of defensive cover. So these two will work defensively in that midfield as a double pivot. Then Bruno Fernandes is going to definitely see liability in the defensive. So it's just going to be putting extra bodies to block passing lane. That's what he does. Then for the carrying, since Santos is a liability in the carrying, Tielemans is average. You are now still going to need Bruno Fernandes to be dropping back. But if Tielemans can be using these long passes to do the carrying, Fernandes doesn't need to drop back too much. You get it? He doesn't need to drop back too much. Tielemans can now utilize his long passing ability to help us progress the ball. So we will not progress the ball most of the time through the middle. except we are playing a low block team, we can progress through the middle because that is not difficult. But when you are now playing a team that is more like organized, you now look for a way to drag them out. Then you go for a long one to either of your wingers or go directly to your striker to try and win the first or the second balls. Then for key passes, Tielemans is still there. I said it that defensively and offensively, Tielemans will offer you something. So key passes is the number of, as in the passes that you give that can help create an attack. That's the key pass. Through balls, those are key passes. Balls that falls into the opposition 18-yard box. Those are key passes. So Tielemans can be there. Fernandez is the boss there. Then forward passes, Fernandez doesn't do more forward passes because he's always looking for those risky passes and forward pass percent, and he loses a lot. He does more of the forward pass, but he loses a lot because they're always risky passes, looking for the striker, looking for the winger. So that's how it's discovered that it's low. And the same thing for Tielemans too. Tielemans too is also there. He's also always looking for those killer passes. That is why their key pass is high, but their forward pass percentage is low. Then forward passes, he discovered that Santos is here and it's high. So Santos can be doing his forward passes from the defense to either of these two. You get it? So to either of these two. Then for the progressive pass, Fernandez is high here because Fernandez can do both carrying and long pass. That is the reason why Amorim decided to play Fernandez and Casemiro as a double pivot in his system. Now you understand why. Because Fernandez can carry. He can carry the ball with his leg on the ground and he can go long vertical passes. So that is why the man decided to use Fernandez as one of these double midfielders that he used. Talking about Amorim, but that's part. So Fernandez can do these two jobs. So it now depends on how we are now going to set up next season. Are we now going to be relying on Tielemans to do the build up? Are we going to be doing short triangular passes in the midfield? Are we going to be doing heavy possession to build up? Are we going to be going long, using Tielemans' long passing ability to build up? So it depends on the variations that Carrick is going to be utilizing next season, and possibly maybe towards the end of the preseason we can see some of these. When Tielemans is back and Fernandez is back, we can now see some of these. But as I said before, Andrey Santos is still my best option for that DM position. But my only worry is the ability of him. He doesn't have the ability of progressing the ball. That's my only worry about him. And I'll make a video on why he's going to be a disadvantage to us, and how he's always going to make the team play kind of a low block because of these deficiencies that he has. So that's just it. If we look at the modern DMs that we have in the world, you can see that all of them, they have something in common. Look at their charts. You have De Jong, you have Rodri, you have Vitinha, Kimmich, Gravenberch, and Declan Rice. I use Declan Rice because Zubimendi doesn't play that much. I just feel that Declan Rice is the DM for Arsenal. That's why I use Declan Rice. But you can use Zubimendi too, and you still see something like this. Now, if you look at their chart, you discover that keepers, you can see that the poorest in keepers is Gravenberch. He's the poorest. Then the rest, from average, you can see 90% for De Jong, 69 for Rodri, 63 for Vitinha, 95 for Kimmich. Then you see Gravenberch, 50. That's the average. Then 74 for Declan Rice. They are very, very good in key passes. That is bringing passes that goes directly to the opponent's 18-yard box. Then progressive passes, you can see that all of them, they are good. Long balls, they are very, very good. Now, Gravenberch is still the only one that is low because they have Szoboszlai that does it for Liverpool. You get. So now, when you now look at it, duels, you see that Gravenberch is high. Rodri is high. Then another person, De Jong. Where is it? Okay, duels. De Jong is high. Rodri is high. Vitinha is at least still okay, 79%, as in close to the 80%. Then Kimmich, 60%. That is the lowest. Then we have Declan Rice, 75. Then Gravenberch, 83. So duels, they are high. They are good with duels. Possession one, this is where they don't stress themselves too much because they have a defensive unit and they are always holding the ball. They are always in control of the ball. That is why they don't stress themselves. You don't win possession where you are the one that's holding the ball. So their possession one is going to be low because they don't normally win possession too much. They are always the ones in control. That's why I brought these teams out. They are the teams that hold possession. So they don't really hold possession. They don't really lose the ball too much. So now start chasing the ball all around. So for possession one, it's just average. Possession one, see 35, 48, 22, 33, 32, 58. It's only Gravenberch that is 58 because Liverpool, they are still the ones that they are the lowest team in terms of control here. And when you talk about carrying, you see that they are still very, very heavy on carrying. You see it. Progressive carry, De Jong 95, Rodri 59. Rodri doesn't carry the ball. Progressive carry, he doesn't carry it because he doesn't have that explosive pace. That is the problem that Mainoo 2 has. He doesn't have that explosive pace. So you cannot carry the ball for a long distance. So he only carries and pass, short pass, or go long. That is why he has high ball. So since he's poor here, since he's a bit poor here, he now did a balance with this. So if you are poor here, you should be good here. You cannot be poor in both sides and play as a DM. It's going to be problematic for your central midfielder. So see, if you are poor here, you should be good here. If you are good in both sides, excellent. Like the De Jong now, or Vitinha. Vitinha is good in both. Look at his progressive carry 99, progressive passes 98, almost 99. So he's good in both. Vitinha is good in both. I think even De Jong too is good. Probably 95, 93. You see it. It's good too. Then Declan Rice, 95 for carries, then 86 for passes. So Declan Rice too is good. So this is where modern midfielders are moving to. So this is the kind of DMs that we should be looking for. That's why we're heavy on Elliot Anderson and Matthews Fernandez. Because they can play like hybrid. You call this kind of people hybrid. Because defensively, they are there. Offensively, they are there. So these are the real modern hybrid midfielders. They can give you two jobs. They can go box to box. They can stay and screen the defense. They can play with their kind. And that's why you discover that Vitinha doesn't look like a DM for PSG. Joao Neves also doesn't look like a DM. If you put in Joao Neves map, it will look almost something like this too. So they are hybrid. You can play with two hybrid. Then you can play with a natural DM like the Tchouaméni and a very, very balanced central midfielder. You get it? If you watch Toni Kroos was poor in carrying, but excellent in progressive passes. Because Toni Kroos didn't have the explosive pace. So what legs would do, he would just use one pass to do it. So if you are poor here and poor here, it doesn't make sense to be a modern DM. That's why I'm not a fan of Kobbie Mainoo playing as a DM. Kobbie Mainoo can receive the ball from the defense quite all right, but how do you now transition that ball? How do you transition that attack? How do you move that attack forward? That is now where the problem comes for Kobbie Mainoo. And Santos too. So you see the problem. That's why I say we need to get a DM. And I'm also going to do another video talking about the players that we're looking at: Sander Berge, Alex Scott, and Manu Kone. And I'm also going to do a video talking about the three of them and to see what they can offer differently that we don't already have. So if modern football is moving towards this direction, why are we not moving towards this direction? Why are we still looking for the traditional defensive midfielder that all they know how to do is just to defend, and on the ball it is nothing? So that's the problem. That's the problem. So I'm going to in the next video I'm going to talk about how Kobbie Mainoo and Santos is going to affect our build up and attack because of these two things that they lack: ball progression with long passes and ball carrying with their foot. That's why I'm going to talk about these two things, how it's going to affect us because of what they lack and how they're not going to be giving much workload to the central midfielder and also Bruno Fernandes, and how they will make the team play kind of in a mid block, not in a low block, kind of in a mid block. So for now, I believe that you've understood why I said that Kobbie Mainoo, to me, is not the best fit for that defensive midfield role. Santos looks somebody that can do the job better because of his defensive attributes, but also in build-up, Santos is going to be a liability for us. So hopefully the club signs a DM and we see what we can do with that next season.